You are watching the New American Media. Hello, America. Welcome. Thank you very much for joining me today. Happy Friday. This is Brian Engelman, broadcasting from the left coast. This is the newamericanmedia.com. You are listening to the Unhappy Hour program. Thank you very much for joining us. This is indeed the only Cleveland-centric, Los Angeles-based sports show that we are currently aware of. Thank you. Thank you for participating. If you're listening after the fact, do us a favor and click subscribe so that you can know when our new awesome shows show up. We would greatly appreciate that. And if you're not following us on Twitter, please do that as well. We're at American_media_. Once again, that's American_media_. Want to thank our sponsor for this segment. It's Three Black Cats, tribal belly dance accessories, and homemade herbal products. Go on, take a look at the website, the number 3blackcats.storeenvy.com. That's the number 3blackcats.storeenvy.com. Really cool products. Guys, go on there and get a few sets of earrings, put them in a box, and when you forgot an anniversary, a gift, a birthday, a graduation, just pull something awesome out of the box, and the women in your life are going to love you for it. Go online, take a look, 3blackcats.storeenvy.com. I want to thank Brandon Odell for joining us today. We are continuing our Strictly Browns segment. Please take a look at those. We have highlighted the Cleveland Browns defense. Top 10 defense in the NFL, by the way. Let's not say the Cleveland Browns are all miserable footballers. That defense is pretty solid, and we expect them to get better this year. We're going to highlight the offense next week on Agree to Disagree. So without further ado, what we're going to do now is we're going to move over just a little bit. Instead of talking football, we're going to reach out to Zach Barris, lifelong Cleveland sports fan and NBA scout, to talk some basketball, as we usually do.
Hello?
Zach, it's Brian with the newamericanmedia.com. You're live on the air, sir. How are you doing?
Horrible.
Terrible. And now my uncle always says that. I say, hey, Cal, how you doing? Terrible. Terrible, Brian. Terrible.
I'm dealing with some movers today. I'm dealing with my apartment move, and it's not going so smoothly.
I'm sorry to hear that. Well, are you going to have a little bit of time to talk with us today, though?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Well, you know, this can at least be one happy moment of your day. I've moved many times. I've moved 2,000 miles across the country. I've moved with my band. I've moved multiple times within a year. I've had a house that I was staying in burned down on me, and I had to live out of a van for a couple weeks and then move into another place. So, no, I don't envy you, and I'm sorry you're going through that, Zach, but welcome to the show. So I guess there's a lot of places we can pick this up here. We can there's so much. Here's what I want to get to, and I want to get your thoughts on what is most relevant to you. We obviously have Summer League, so all the Summer League action is really interesting to see how all these new draft picks are starting to pan out, how they're looking in jerseys and uniforms. You got Team USA gearing up for some stuff. Jeremy Lin, obviously, that situation played out differently than I expected. So that's intriguing. And then all of these Dwight Howard trade rumors and the Cavs being in the middle of that. I don't know. What's on your mind in the NBA world, Zach? If any of those or something else?
Let's talk about the Dwight Howard trade.
All right, let's start off there.
Seems to be dominating the conversation for the past year and a half now.
Absolutely. Where is Dwight Howard's situation today? We're hearing rumors of Los Angeles. We're hearing about.
We heard rumors yesterday of Dwight Howard willing to agree to a contract extension with the Lakers, and then today it came out reports of it this morning. I haven't really had to check my internet yet, but as what I checked out this morning, he's now saying he's going to explore free agency no matter what. But like I said, if I were the Lakers, they can offer him more money than any team, and who leaves L.A.? And I think the Cavaliers, in order to get involved, they want reassurance that Andrew Bynum is going to re-sign with them. They need reassurance that Bynum will re-sign. And I think as soon as they give him that, I think the trade would be finished. I think the Cavaliers would be willing to pull the trigger. It just all depends on Andrew Bynum's willingness to come to Cleveland.
And so where is Bynum at then? Is he, because he listed...
We don't know. That's the thing is, you heard reports last week that said he would be willing, he finds Cleveland as an intriguing an intriguing destination, and a possibility. But, like I said, as rumors get created all the time, false. Like I said, you can't believe everything you hear in the media. I learned that in the business that I'm in now. And so we don't know what's true and what's not. But like I said, if the Cavaliers are willing to give him a max extension, I have a hard time finding that he would not agree to a contract extension if they were willing to give him max money.
Now, how does max money work? Let's go back with the history of Bynum, where he was drafted, how many years he's been where he's at, who would have the rights to offer what length, because it starts getting really legal, as far as...
Well, I mean, we have to figure that all out. I'm not near my computer right now, so it's hard to see.
Gotcha.
But, I mean, I believe the Cavaliers can offer him a 3-year, $60 million extension or somewhere on the lines of that.
Okay.
And, they can offer him the 3-year extension, and basically that would assure that he'd be in Cleveland for the long haul, playing alongside Kyrie Irving. And I think the Cavaliers would have to pull the trigger. He's the second-best center in the NBA, and he's 27 years old. And like I said, you're not going to always be able to land on all draft picks. Draft picks are a total crapshoot. Andrew Bynum is a sure guaranteed thing.
Well, even last year, the Cleveland Indians in a pennant race, they were close. They were competing most of the season for the division, and they traded a whole bunch of prospects for Ubaldo Jimenez, a guy that we've already seen he can win 20 games. He can already be dominant. Yes, he fell off, but you know what you're getting out of him. You know what his ceiling is with a lot of prospects. You haven't seen their ceiling yet, and you're rolling the dice on him maybe. So with Bynum, at least you've seen his upside, and it's a pretty good upside. It's just a little inconsistent.
Well, I mean, you've seen Ubaldo Jimenez's upside too. I mean, look what he did, in the season, the half the season before that. I mean, he was ridiculous. His ERA was 1.4 at the All-Star break, 2 years ago. I mean, the guy had a ridiculous year. And, looking into that, we saw his potential. He was a dominant front-of-the-line starter. We witnessed that. I don't know if he'll ever reach that again, but getting back to basketball, Andrew Bynum's the second-best center in the NBA. He put incredible numbers up last year, and, I think he might be able to do the same this year, especially with a legitimate point guard. I think he can do it.
And let's talk about the details then, because if Bynum ends up in Cleveland, obviously LA's getting rid of him. LA would be getting Dwight Howard. Let's talk about the peripherals. I've heard Anderson Varejao and draft picks. How would all the other peripherals?
I think for sure Varejao is involved. I would have to think Capsby is somehow involved in the deal. And it's gonna be the Cavs giving up their 2013 first round pick, but you have to assume if you have Andrew Bynum, it's not going to be a lottery pick. And next year's draft class is very suspect to begin with. You have Shabazz Muhammad at the very top. There's Nerlens Noel, Kyle Anderson, but there's not a ton of talent in next year's draft class. So you have to look at that and you go, what's going to be available? If the Cavaliers could be picking anywhere from 13 to 23 next year if you have Andrew Bynum. I'm not saying they're going to be a 55-win team because they're not going to. But, that team has potential to win 40s, high 40s, and, it all depends on Deion Waiters' play, I think.
Okay, so now why is Varejao included in this? Just because he has a high salary? What is the reason? Because he's still a high energy guy.
The Magic, Hennigan, who's the GM of the Magic, really, really loves Anderson Varejao. $50 change, and he really loves Varejao. And that Varejao becomes another tradable asset, and Orlando in this deal gets to give up tons of bad contracts.
Right.
Something that they can give up Duhan, they can give up. They can give up Duhan, Glenn Big Baby Davis. There's I'm trying to think who else they can give up in this deal, but there's plenty of bad contracts which they're able to get rid of in this deal.
And so are those?
It allows Orlando to go on a strict rebuild process, which would hurry up their. I'm sorry, hold on, I'm just signing for something for
No,
or mattress.
that's fine because one of the things I was gonna bring up there is that one of the things I've been hearing over the past few days, really over the past couple of weeks, is that there's a desire to pull Tristan Thompson out of the mix, and it seems like that was a number 4 pick.
I don't think Tristan's involved in the deal. Actually, I really don't. I think he's involved. I think the only way Tristan gets involved in that deal is if the Cavaliers are taking less and less bad contracts off the table. I think the more bad contracts they take, I think the more likely it is to keep Tristan.
So the Cavs would end up possibly with Andrew Bynum. What else? And what bad contracts do you think would land at the Cavs' door?
I'm going to say Glenn Big Baby Davis will wind up a Cavalier most likely in that scenario. There's like 4 or 5 different trade scenarios that could conceivably be worked out. I think the Cavaliers wind up with one of the Richardsons, with either Quentin or Jason. It just depends. And I think, like I said, I think there's a few possibilities. I think you could see the Cavs with Richardson, Duhon, and Davis in the deal. But they're going to take anything they can, though, which is 2 years or less. They don't want 3 years left on the deal, or if they do, they're going to want it so a contract they can trade. Like Davis has 3 years, $18 million left. They want to be able to trade him as soon as they can. And his deal, it's an untradeable contract essentially until his final year, until it's an expiring deal. Nobody wants to pay Glenn Davis, $6 million a year. He's not worth it. And
at one point,
it just depends where the Cavs are coming on Chris Grant's end. But I'd be very disappointed as a Cavaliers fan per se if they did not go out and try to improve the team because they were too worried about trading away draft picks. Especially in a draft class. I mean, the Cavaliers have an abundance of draft picks. There's eventually comes a time you don't want to get stuck picking in the lottery every year like a team like Golden State or Toronto, a team that's constantly in the middle of the lottery every year, and they're not improving the team. The only time you can really improve a team in the draft is when you get very lucky on a player, or is when you're picking in the top 3 and you're landing a superstar. It's very rare to be able to improve your team overnight. The Cavaliers, like I said, were very fortunate last year to land Irving and Thompson. And I think they could be banking on something like that, but you're not going to land players like that every year. Sometimes if you're going to be picking 12th in the lottery, you're going to be getting guys like Myers Leonard who aren't going to make, significant impacts on your team. And that's what worries me about Chris Grant is that he might value draft picks too much in order to make a trade like this.
And so the Cavs might be expected to get rid of, what is that, one 2013 first-round draft pick or additional
maybe
picks?
and Miami's pick too, but like I said, Miami's going to be drafting somewhere around anywhere from 26 to 30.
Let's hope it's 26.
It doesn't matter. Whatever they do in the regular season doesn't matter anyways. We saw what happened last year. They weren't the number 1 overall seed, yet they still went in there and they beat Oklahoma City and they beat Boston. They didn't have to play Chicago as the number 1 overall seed. Like I said, it doesn't matter when you're that good anyways. It's all about the playoffs. I mean, we witnessed a couple of Jordan teams that won games in the low 50s, towards the end of his career. And, I mean, they were still, they still dominated in the playoffs. It didn't matter. So who cares whether they're picking 26 or 30? It's not a big deal.
And Chris Grant, like you said, you said he's a stats guy, though.
What?
You said that he's a stats guy. That Chris Grant, he really gets into the analytics and he really gets into, and so that could become a point where it's like, well, all of these mathematical potentials for all of these draft picks might turn into something nice. And, at some point, wouldn't you just rather have a player that you know who you're getting versus waiting and developing and rolling the dice?
I completely agree. That's why I'm more on the lines of taking a sure thing. The odds of landing a high-impact player at pick number 23 through 30 is significantly lower than it would be picked in the top 3. You're usually looking at guys, when you're picked from 20 to 30, you're not getting a superstar. Look how many superstars in the league were drafted anywhere from 20 and beyond. It's very few. And you have to take your risks sometimes and give up the draft picks. It's sometimes worth mortgaging, your future to do well in the present. You're looking at nationally televised games if you get Andrew Bynum. You're looking at more merchandise sold. You're looking at, just higher revenues from jersey sales, just everything. Like I said, Cavs fans, their attendance started to dip last year. People want to have a reason to go to the game. And when you put the second-best center on the floor in Cleveland, it gives people a reason to watch.
Yeah, it was tough last year.
Especially if you have a core of a 20-year-old Kyrie Irving, I believe a 20-year-old Deion Waiters, a 20-year-old Tristan Thompson, and a 24-year-old Andrew Bynum. I would say it's a pretty good core to start with, and you have tons of cap room over the next few years. And I think Cleveland becomes a more desirable destination in free agency if you can attract someone like Andrew Bynum to your team.
better than not having him there. And that would be a nice center combo where you got Tyler Zeller. By the way, Ryan Holland's not coming back. He's signed elsewhere. No big loss. But obviously he was on the Celtics last year.
Hollins was on the Celtics last year anyways. The Cavaliers got rid of him anyways.
Yeah, I mean, but the Cavs, their center position, between the slug and then Semi Erden, your favorite player. No, I mean, you would look at a significant increase. What would you say? Because obviously increasing the production from the center position is something we've got to do. Tyler Zeller addresses some of that. What percentage would you say is likely that this trade might go off? Because the Nets one surely fell apart.
I'm going to put this at 35%. Just because the Cavaliers seem like, and this is reported by everyone, the Cavaliers seem to be involved in every single rumor this offseason.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Why is that?
They've involved themselves in every single rumor.
Why is that?
And because Chris Grant is very active. He likes to explore trades. There's some general managers that really enjoy doing that, and that's part of his game. That's what he does. So I'm going to say I'm not going to give this a chance about 50. I hope I'm wrong. I think it'd be a great move for the Cavaliers to make. And it's one of their few chances to land a superstar center. Basically it's technically almost a free agent move because if he's willing to sign that extension with you, it means he believes in the franchise, he believes in Irving, and he would believe in Byron Scott. And I think that makes a big deal to someone, and I think it makes a big deal in free agency because now Kyrie Irving can go out there and sit there and recruit and go, listen, we're one piece away from winning a title now. We have a star point guard, star center. We need one more piece. Let's bring in a wing. If Deion Waiters is good and Tristan Thompson develops his plan, you're looking at a really solid team in the future.
Okay, you know what? I think that's where we need to pick it up there then. I think in the next segment what we'll do is we have not spoken since Kyrie in his hand. It's unfortunate. What we'll do is we'll hit reset. We'll come back. We'll talk about just focus on the Cavs. This was kind of the Dwight Howard trade scenario that involved the Cavs. But now I want to get into Deion Waiters with what's going on in the Summer League. I want to talk about Kyrie in his hand. How serious is it? How quick that he comes back? How dumb was it that he did this in the first place? Is this smarter or worse than what Amari did, punching out a fire extinguisher? We'll get to all that and more in just a second. I want to thank our sponsor for this segment. It is Three Black Cats Studio. Go ahead and take a look. Tribal belly dance accessories and homemade herbal products. Guys, go on there, take a look. Buy a few pairs of sweet earrings. Next time there's a gift, a graduation present, a birthday present, an anniversary, something you forgot to get, a cool gift for some special woman in your life, check out their website, threeblackcats.storeenvy.com. Get a few things, put them in a box. And when it comes time, guess what? You're prepared. Just wrap it up. That's the number 3, blackcats.storeenvy.com. We're going to come back. We're going to talk some Cleveland Cavaliers with Zach Barris on thenewamericanmedia.com. You are watching The New American Media.